Right, greetings. I am Apostle Kurumani Mbangani from Regeneration Ministries International in the land of Kapane, Limpopo Province, South Africa. I'm here to give a narration of reaching Africa missionary trip journey that we did from the month of June, when God spoke that it is now the time to arise and touch the nations of Africa from the land of Kapane. God specifically declared that I have opened a door to every nation of Africa to go and heal them. It is after I have seen a vision when God took me to a setup of a hospital, where God took me from the casualty up to the mortuary in a vision and said, this is the state of the church. The church is wounded. The church is crying for help. The church is in the casualty department. The church and the pastors, they need help in various nations of Africa. And then God took me to the intensive care unit, where I could see people being very sick, and said that is the state of the church. It is in the intensive care unit. They are very sick. Africa needs your help. It is being tormented by almost 5 strong spirits: the spirit of witchcraft, the spirit of poverty, the spirit of jealousy, the spirit of backwardness, the spirit of ignorance, the spirit of hatred. These are among the strong spirits that are tormenting Africa. It was just a vision, and whereby we have been praying for some years, as we were just in agreement with this vision. And then now, God took me lastly to the mortuary in a vision and said, this is the state of the church in some nations. It has reached a point of death. People, some churches or some pastors are buried. They are preaching, but they are dead. Go and help Africa. So I started the journey when we were connected, as we were praying for the nations of Africa, the doors to open, and eventually God started to open the door into to the country of Uganda. 11 of June, I took off to Uganda, Itebe. When I landed there for 2 days, and then we were busy strategizing that how we can reach 11 district that I was invited by another pastor who said I must come and revive his church. The moment I landed in Uganda, that's when it was declared that they were now in 42 days of COVID-19. Now, we tried to rush to go to Rwanda so that we can just try to catch up with the curfew time. Then 2 borders of Rwanda denied my entry, saying I must go back to Itebe to fly because land borders were closed. To go back to the Itebe airport again, we were almost 400 kilometers from the place I was. It was in Tebe. It was called Intunkamo. So it was not easy again to go back to Itebe because normal transport was closed. Taxis, buses, they were not permitted to move. This was a very difficult moment as I started the missionary journey, without knowing God was putting me in a test of trusting Him, that the one that has called us is faithful. I had time to get a hotel in Tunkamo so that I can sleep over for that day as I was praying. As I was praying over the city, God pointed me to a certain church where they used to meet, and then I called the number after, when God has said, if you call that number, the man that you are going to call is going to connect you to the man who is going to help you in this situation I was. It was a difficult time. I could not move to any place. I could not minister. And the money that I had that time, it was all finished. I was only left with the money for that day to book the hotel. Even for the hotel, the money was now limited. Now God used the man that I found. He came to my hotel. We prayed, and then we went to his church. We prayed again, and then he led me to another apostle who once came to South Africa and Zimbabwe and other places in the Southern Africa, who was also a missionary pastor, who said, God has led you to me so that I can help you. For surely that man was used by God to help me, to link me to the land of Tanzania. Then Tanzania, I entered Tanzania. They arranged everything, transport. For surely these two angels in Uganda, the Apostle Stamson and Pastor Eric, were used as angels. We salute them by being used by God. They paid the transport, they paid my hotels, they fed me in that land of Uganda. They connected me to to our apostle, bishop, a pious of another church, a Pentecostal church in Tanzania, Kaisho. Yes, that's when I was connected in that place, and then I started the revival. Yes, in that place in Kaisho. I saw miracles that I've never seen in Kaisho. While I was ministering in the church of Bishop Pius, there is another young man that was brought to the meeting, and that young man, he was almost dead. He was almost dead. He was urinating on himself. He could not help himself. And while we were having a 2 weeks revival, the church prayed, and we also announced that we are going for 2 days prayer and fasting. We prayed for that young man. God raised him from the dead, and it was a miracle that touched many people. Another miracle that happened in that land, it is another woman who lost his son to the former husband, and they just disappeared, and they did not know where the child was. She came for prayers miraculously. After 24 hours, we prophesied and we prayed that within 24 hours the child will be back. And for sure, the man could not sleep. Around 4 a.m., the man called the wife and said, I'm looking for you. I know where the child is. And for sure, the child was found. And we had another man who had a court hearing, and the case was so serious. We prayed for him, and it said that he could find favor in the eyes of the judge. And we thank God. God heard our prayers in Uganda, Kaisho. There are so many miracles that happened in that land. Healing was so instant. I remember of another man for 7 years. He has a leg problem and a joint problem. We prayed instantly, the man was healed. I remember of another man who had a marriage problem. The wife came running for prayers. She was a nurse. We prayed for this woman, and for the first time, the man had never come to the kitchen and sat next to the wife, and it was a serious surprise. Marriage was restored. We saw miracles that were beyond description in the land of Kaisho. Another man was a Muslim. He gave up his life to Jesus, surrendered. And I remember of another policeman who had another challenge and complication upon his back. We prayed, and miraculously he was restored. Many miracles happened issues of flow of blood. I remember we prayed for many women, then God healed them instantly. So these are the miracles that we saw in the land of Tanzania. Yes, we thank God. And also another thing that we saw in the church that I was ministering, of Bishop Pius, they were struggling to finish their church, and things were not good financially. We prayed for a miraculous provision for the church to be completed within less than a month. God intervened and they started to plaster, they started to put floors. Right now, they managed to put a stage, and God removed the shame upon the church. This is the God that we save. These are miracles that we saw in the land of Tanzania. Yes. And then I came back in the month of July 11 to come back and rest, and they said that I could go for a second trip. And we thank God. This is the second trip that I shall be talking about. God protected me. I found my family very strong, and the church of God moving on in the land of Kabane. God bless you.